Hey everyone, Jason here in my garage, and today I'm very excited to review the newly released Morimoto 2-Stroke 3.0 LED light. Like my other forward lighting reviews, I'm going to do an introduction, an unboxing, go over the published specs, and cover the features. Then I'm going to test the brightness and light pattern using the following: an H11 light projector testing rig that I made, my benchtop power supply, and a basic lux meter mounted on my garage wall 20 feet away from the projector rig that I'll focus the LED hotspot on. Now always remember to check the aim of your headlights at least once a year, and always aim them after replacing the bulbs. Replacing halogen bulbs with LEDs for headlights in the US is currently not legal nor a DOT approved practice. So when I say headlights, I'm referring to off-road use and fog light use only, which is currently legal in the United States. This video is only an informational guide for using LED lights legally. Okay, now let's get to the Morimoto 2-Stroke 3.0. I like Morimoto lights. They're typically higher quality than most companies out there. I've got their taillights on my Corvette and I really like them. See my other videos about that. I was going to review the 2-Stroke 2.0 in the near future, but when I was told that the 3.0 was coming out, I put that on pause. But I'm still going to try to get my hands on a set to test and compare, but for now, let's talk about the 3.0. So the initial published specs are 22 watts and 2600 lumens each. Might not seem like much on paper, but trust me, that's a little deceptive. The color temperature is 5500K pure white, and it's got things that most premium lights has. Quality materials like a 6061 die-cast aluminum body. It's got braided cabling. It's plug and play, 3-year warranty, but it's also got some innovations that no other light has, and I'm going to show you. The first thing a good LED light needs is a high-quality chip, also known as the emitter. And this is a new automotive-grade chip. It's called the OSRAM Oslon, and it's specifically made for automotive use, and it is exclusive to this light. I only know of one other light that uses an automotive-grade chip, and that is the GTR Ultra Series 2, which I'll also be reviewing soon. The Oslon is designed to perfectly mimic the OEM filament and beam pattern. And to do this, it has a very, very thin 1mm PCB core that the LED chips sit on. Combined with the circuit pattern underneath it and the dielectric layer, the total of a single filament light like this one is just shy of 2mm thick, almost perfectly replicating the factory filament size. A dual filament is just under 2.4 millimeters. Now it's really hard to get these dimensions so close to the filament it's replacing. And the frame has been engineered to not only look good, but support that thin PCB core without impacting the light output. Along with the chip, you need proper chip positioning. Now, aside from the core thickness, I'm talking about the focal length, and that's something that's not often considered. This is the distance from the base to the chip. And to be consistent, Morimoto used some special tools that were designed to control the accuracy of each bulb as it comes off the production line. Each size within the 2-Stroke 3.0 lineup has been optimized according to OE spec. Well, this isn't very convenient or economic because it slows down production. It's an extra step that has to be taken. It's a better way to design and build an LED light, and it's actually very, very important. And why is this so important? Well, if you've ever used a focusing flashlight, you know that just the slightest variance in bulb positioning can change the focus and light output accuracy quite dramatically. And the same concept applies to headlight bulbs. Some lights work great in projectors, but not as good in reflector housings. Well, this was designed to work as best as possible in both. And I'm going to show you how both compare to stock a little later in this video. Another thing a good LED light needs is effective heat management. And the question is, where's the fan on this one? It's not in the normal place. The 2-Stroke 3.0 uses a sealed closed thermal management system. So right inside this housing right here is a 12,000 RPM fan, and it spins perpendicular to the body axis rather than aligned to it like most lights. So how does it move air? Well, like a car engine, it actually has an intake and an exhaust right here. And the fan uses a vacuum effect. It brings in cold air that travels along the PCB intake side, exchanges heat from the LED, and then airflow then exhausts from the right half of the bulb. Now here's a good look of the fan coming to a stop in slow motion so you can see what I'm talking about. Because once the light's in place, it's a sealed system, which makes it perfect for off-road or really dirty applications that LEDs with exposed fans might have issues with. And an added benefit is that vehicles that drive in a lot of snow and ice, well, this helps to keep the headlight lens warm. Now, one concern that you might have is dust floating around in the capsule being cycled around. Well, remember, it's a sealed system. So try to change this in a clean environment, which you should do anyway. Now, the whole design, as you might expect, is patented. So I expect to see some companies either infringing on that patent dangerously or at least replicating the look of the 3.0. Now let's talk about the driver. This is a Morimoto 2S3 driver, and it's got a die-cast aluminum body just like the main unit. Inside it is completely potted, completely waterproofed, and sealed. And it's got a function called DRL drive. When the LED driver detects 6 to 9 volts of input, which is typically DRL voltage, it switches and drops the light output down to 30% of the standard output to act as a DRL. And when this happens, the cooling fan also shuts off to conserve power and increase lifespan. Now, for vehicles with the pulse width modulated base DRL signal, an inline PWM module that produces clean DC 6 volts will be required, and I understand that the DRL drive function is currently for non-US markets only. Back to the main unit, which this is an H11. The collar is made out of aluminum, and it's got this nice function that when you insert it and press to turn it and seat it in place, and then you press again and adjust it if you need to clock it in a certain direction. There's no tools needed like an Allen wrench like almost every other light out there that's adjustable. And the H11 also uses a factory-style tension spring base, just like factory, and that's something that's not normally seen in an aftermarket bulb. And for a dual filament like an H4, the shade cup is designed to put the light right where it needs to go, which is also, of course, tremendously important. So remember how I've been mentioning that you can't currently use an LED to replace a halogen bulb legally in the United States? That's something that might change in the future, and if you want to keep track of it, look up the SAE J3145 standard that is currently being developed. And if that standard gets approved, it'll be a good thing because it'll provide a more consistent guide to replacing halogens with LEDs, and it might change the legal aspect of it. And LED headlight designs may get better, reducing the flood of really badly engineered LED lights that are overdriven and super bright but have less actual useful light output than an OEM filament bulb. And trust me, there's a lot of those out there. Well, Morimoto's been tracking the progress of SAE J3145, and they actually designed this light in parallel with it, meaning that should it get passed and the laws change, this light will adhere to that standard. So now that we've gone over what makes this light unlike anything else on the market, let's see how it performs with my basic light output test. So there's your results. In my projector testing rig, 1004 lux at 20 feet initial brightness, which is almost twice what the H11 filament bulb is at 550. The cutoff is very, very sharp, and the beam pattern is extremely wide, right where it needs to be. And after 27 minutes, which is the average commute time in the US, I measured it again at 765 lux. So it retains about 75% of that light output at full heat, which is comparable to other quality LED lights on the market. So how about that reflector comparison? Well, here's the OEM filament halogen bulb on top and the Morimoto 2-Stroke 3.0 on bottom. It's really hard for an LED to replicate the light output characteristics of a filament bulb, but as you can see, the 2-Stroke 3.0 not only replicates it, but in some areas, the cutoff might be actually more defined. Now, quite frankly, I am stunned that Morimoto can pull this off. Many premium LED lights are close to OEM in a reflector, but not this close. The 2-Stroke 3.0 has taken traditional LED light design, completely re-engineered what's important from the ground up. With the super thin 2mm core, the exclusive chip and precise chip placement, the innovative heat management, overall materials and build quality, and of course great light output and the best light pattern available, it changes everything we know about automotive LED light design. The output is impressive and the light distribution is designed to be more effective than any other LED light currently on the market. Have you ever heard the expression, power is nothing without control? This light is the perfect example of that. It has both, balanced and efficient power with the design to control it and replicate the OEM filament output in a superior way with less glare and less light scattering. As the title of this video states, there is nothing like this out there. And in my opinion, the $175 cost per pair is well worth it for a premium light. If you're in the market for a premium LED light, you want to give these a try. You can get yours at headlightrevolution.com, and while you're there, use coupon code JASON'sGarage at checkout, and by doing so, you'll also receive a free pair of these T10 194 Profile Peak Pro LED lights, which are a perfect replacement for interior, side marker, license plate lights, and more. They are smartly designed, just like the 2Stroke 3.0, to replicate the factory bulbs exactly, but a heck of a lot brighter, with cleaner light and without flimsy connector wires or heat sinks. And you can get a set free at checkout just for entering the code Jason's Garage. And as always, thanks for watching. Feel free to ask any questions in the comment section below, and come back to my garage for more car stuff, product reviews, LED light tests, and more.